Hello and welcome to WION Live Broadcast. I'm Ollie Barrett, live from London, and these are the headlines. Embattled British Prime Minister Boris Johnson seeks to reset his leadership with an economic policy blitz. Britain says it's confident it will not break international law, with plans to introduce legislation to unilaterally deal with problems caused by post-Brexit arrangements that cover trade with Northern Ireland. Ukrainian President Zelensky calls for Russia to be expelled from the UN Agriculture Agency and blames Moscow for spurring a global grain crisis. Iran condemns as unconstructive its censure by the UN Atomic Energy Watchdog for failing to cooperate in a new spat that clouds efforts to revive an international nuclear deal. Portugal records its hottest May since 1931, with severe drought now affecting the majority of the country. The battle for the eastern Ukrainian city of Severodonetsk is pivotal to the future of the whole region, according to President Zelensky. Local officials say Russia now controls most of the key city. Severodonetsk has been witnessing heavy shelling and bombardment for days. Governor of the Lugansk region, Sergei Gaidai, says the industrial zone of the city is still under the control of Ukrainian forces, but Russian troops have taken residential areas. Houses, streets and farms have been completely destroyed. At Severodonetsk twins city, Lishansk, the governor claims Russian troops are deliberately targeting hospitals and humanitarian aid distribution centres.
I am afraid to see fascists, and I want some peace, and we want to eat. Oh, you see, there is no kitchen at Svetlana's. Here is your house where you have been living. There is nothing, no windows, no doors.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is describing the battle for Severodonetsk as the most difficult so far, and he says it will decide the fate of the Donbas region.
As of the 105th day of the full-scale war, Severodonetsk remains the epicenter of the confrontation in Donbas. We are defending our positions, inflicting significant losses on the enemy. This is a very fierce battle, a very difficult one, probably one of the most difficult war. I am grateful to everyone who is defending this direction. In many ways, the fate of our Donbas is being decided there.
Meanwhile, Zelensky has warned of a terrible food crisis if Russia continues to block Ukrainian ports. Ukraine is unable to export large amounts of wheat, corn and oil. Russia blames Ukraine and international sanctions.
It's down to Ukraine to solve the problem of resuming grain shipments by demining its ports, says Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov.
I am repeating one more time that we've never created obstacles on our side to solve this problem, this little problem, as it is actually little. If the Ukrainian authorities are ready, then we are glad to cooperate.
Speaking in Ankara on Wednesday after a meeting with his Turkish counterpart, Mevlut Çavuşoğlu, Lavrov said no action was required on the Russian side as it had already made all the necessary commitments. Ukraine is one of the world's biggest exporters of grain. Western countries have accused Russia of creating a risk of global famine by shutting the country's Black Sea ports. Moscow denies responsibility for the crisis, putting the blame on Western sanctions. The United Nations have appealed to both sides, as well as maritime neighbour and NATO member Turkey, to agree a corridor for exports to be resumed. Following Wednesday's talks, Çavuşoğlu said the UN-backed plan was reasonable, but added both Russia and Ukraine would have to agree to it. Any deal could involve a Turkish naval escort for tankers leaving Odessa and other Ukrainian ports, which are currently blockaded by Russia's navy, and onward to Turkey's straits and global markets. Ukraine has said it needed effective security guarantees before it could start shipments, voicing concerns that Moscow could use the potential corridor to move on its southern port of Odessa. Lavrov said Moscow would not use the situation surrounding grain shipments in and around the Black Sea to advance what it calls a special military operation, as long as Ukraine lets ships leave safely. He added that the main problem was that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky had categorically refused to resolve the mined ports problem. Last month, Russia's defense ministry released footage which it said showed teams working to demine a beach near a port in the besieged city of Mariupol. Reuters could not verify when or where the footage was filmed. Turkey, which has good relations with both Kiev and Moscow, had previously said it is ready to take on a role with an observational mechanism based in Istanbul if a deal on grain exports is reached. Although it has the second biggest army in NATO and a substantial navy, the country has been dismissed by the Ukrainian Grain Traders Union, or UGA, who say it is not powerful enough to act as a guarantor.
Next to the Ukrainian rapper turned soldier, he's been producing tracks to describe Russia's invasion.
Vyacheslav Trofa is a Ukrainian musician who goes by the stage name Otoy. He's using thumping rap to recount his experiences as a soldier in the conflict with Russia.
So I prefer to say that I'm a musician and, let's say, part-time military guy, something like this. Yeah, this is how I live for now.
The 23-year-old has also published on YouTube and other music platforms. His rap song in English called Find My Country is dedicated to Ukrainian troops. Otoy's older brother, a soldier, is missing and feared dead.
Я присвячую це відео своєму брату Лісеню Дмитру, який зараз знаходиться на заводі «Азовсталь», а також усім його побратимам. Не ігноруємо Маріуполь.
Otoy took part in fighting around Kiev in the initial stages of the February 24 invasion. Since then, he's made multiple ammunition runs to battle fronts. He says music helps him cope with stress of combat. Combat that uprooted lives of millions and continues to do so.
The lyrics mostly was made on the front line, and on the front line every time you can actually feel the smell of like bombs, dead bodies and dust, blood and other stuff. So all of this stuff is inside of these tracks, you can hear it.
Otoy writes when he serves the front lines, sometimes even while taking cover from Russian shelling and airstrikes. To avoid attracting incoming fire, he writes on his phone with the light of the screen turned off.
This is like the way, I don't know, like maybe just to have fun. You know, like Russian soldiers drink vodka, we are making music.
When not on the battlefield, Otoy performs at fundraising music events. His music puts words on the horror of armed conflicts. Conflicts that need to end before they end us. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
A 91-year-old Korean war veteran has reunited with his first love 70 years on.
Peggy, how are you?
Oh my gosh. Nice to see you.
Yes. Oh.
Thank you for all of that attention. My gosh, that's
Well,
a long time, eh?
It's been 70 years. Yeah.
You remember the dancing?
Oh, yeah. I'm glad you mentioned it first.
Oh, the old days, jitterbug.
Yeah, right. Yep.
I was scared at first. I thought maybe my mother and Dwayne wouldn't talk like they did, but when they started smiling and talking, and it was all worth it.
I've thought about that all my life. That I worried that you thought that I abandoned you. And I'm here to tell you that I didn't abandon you at all. I just couldn't find you. You gave me that picture.
He's able to fulfill his dream, his lifelong dream, to find the woman that he had met and fell in love with, and stuff. And 70 years later, what a wonderful story.
For 70 years.
That's what he said.
It's really been a freeing experience for me.
Did you feel abandoned?
No. With the sent the package and the reason and all of that. It's, oh my gosh, all these years you saved a picture of me and oh my gosh, so you must have a thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dwayne.
The British Prime Minister Boris Johnson is set to deliver his first policy speech since that vote of no confidence earlier this week. In a speech in Lancashire, Boris Johnson will set out attempts to boost home ownership. He'll also promise more interventions to tackle Britain's cost of living crisis. The Prime Minister is under pressure from his own MPs to cut taxes. The British Chambers of Commerce see the economy shrinking 0.2% in the final quarter of this year. The Paris-based Organisation for Economic Cooperation and Development predicts zero growth for the UK next year. Our correspondent Sally Patterson reports now from London.
The Prime Minister is expected to give a pretty major speech in Lancashire later today, where he's hoping to move attention away from the political unrest in his own party and move it towards what he says are the issues that people care about. Now, the first issue that he's going to be talking about is around housing. He has two major policies which he's hoping to put forward. He's expected to put forward. One of these is around housing benefits, and what he's expected to say is that those who are on housing benefits, which is money given to them by the government, this can instead be put towards mortgages, meaning that they can buy their own homes. Now, the second point is on right to buy. This was a major policy under Margaret Thatcher in the 1980s, which saw many council tenants offered to buy their home at a very low cost. And this meant that they became homeowners rather than renting from their local councils. Now, Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister, is hoping to see this happen, but now with housing associations, which are private social landlords. So if these policies do go through and are announced as expected, this could see a huge proportion of the UK's current council tenants, which is just under 20% in England at the moment, those could possibly all become homeowners in their own right, meaning that those on the lowest incomes could become homeowners.
Nigeria's ruling party has picked its presidential candidate for the 2023 elections. This as the incumbent steps down without naming a successor.
Nigeria's ruling party has picked former Lagos State Governor and powerful political power broker Bola Tinubu as its presidential candidate for the 2023 elections. Incumbent President Muhammadu Buhari is stepping down next year after leading Africa's most populous country and top oil exporter for the maximum 8 years allowed by the Constitution. But he did not name a preferred successor, leaving the field for the All Progressives Congress candidacy wide open. Tinubu, who was in charge of Nigeria's commercial capital from 1999 to 2007, defeated 13 other candidates, including Buhari's deputy, Yemi Osinbajo. His supporters portray him as an effective administrator, with a knack for picking bright, committed technocrats to get jobs done. But his critics denounce him as a godfather figure, who doles out lucrative contracts and plum jobs to his friends. They say he's not above sending out street thugs to intimidate opponents if he fails to get his way. It's a characterization he denies.
Those who did not support me, you have nothing to fear. I hold no grudges and grievances.
Tinubu's main opponent will be Atiku Abubakar, who was vice president from 1999 to 2007 under former president Olusegun Obasanjo. He represents the People's Democratic Party, and among other pledges, he's promised to end insecurity in the country and revive its fragile economy.
A new era in golf kicks off today, or tees off, we should say, with the launch of the controversial LIV or Live Golf Series outside of London. The league is backed by the wealth of Saudi Arabia's public investment fund. It's being accused of employing so-called sports washing to distract from the kingdom's human rights record.
The league is fronted by former world number 1 Greg Norman and is kicking off this year with 7 regular tournaments and 1 team championship. The aim is to rewrite the way that golf is played globally, and each event is a no-cut 54-hole event with a shotgun start. The 48-man field is competing for $20 million, with the winner to receive $4 million and the lowest placed player $120,000. The remaining $5 million is to be split by the top 3 teams of 4 each.
You know, we're not politicians. I know you guys hate that expression, but you know, we're really not, unfortunately. And you know, we're professional golfers. And you know, if Saudi Arabia wanted to use the game of golf as a way for them to get to where they want to be, and they have the resources to accelerate that experience, you know, I think we're proud to help them on that journey, using the game of golf and the abilities that we have to help grow the sport and take them to where they want to be.
The existing tours, the PGA Tour in America and the European Tour, have threatened to sanction those who tee off, but there has already been an exodus of top names who are approaching the end of their careers. Two-time major winner Dustin Johnson's defection was a huge surprise, and he is joined by major winners such as Sergio Garcia, Martin Kaymer, Graham McDowell and Louis Oosthuizen, among others. Tiger Woods turned down a close to $1 billion offer to defect, but his great rival Phil Mickelson has signed up for a reported appearance fee of $200 million.
I think, if anything, we need to make this, you know, the professional game is the window shop into golf. And if the general public are confused about who's playing where and what tournament's on this week and who's, you know, oh, he plays there, oh, okay, and he doesn't get into these events, and like, it just becomes so confusing. I think everything needs to try to become more cohesive, and I think it was on a pretty good trajectory until this happened.
The exodus of more big names is expected in coming days. The 2020 US Open champion and one of the sport's most popular players, Bryson DeChambeau, is on the verge of switching loyalties. DeChambeau has long been linked to the Rebel circuit and has informed the PGA Tour of his decision to play the next event in Portland at the end of the month. Joining there will be another major winner in Patrick Reed, the man nicknamed Captain America by fans due to his Ryder Cup exploits. The 2018 Masters champion has been a polarizing figure on tour due to his frequent clashes with rules officials and will become the 9th major winner to defect. The schism is obvious, and friendships are being tested as well.
I don't dislike DJ now. I don't think he's a bad dude. I'm not going to treat him any differently. It's like he's entitled to choose as he wish, and I think that the day and age that we live in now, it's just so negative that I mean, you see it in everything, you know, sport, politics, whatever it is. It's like if you disagree with someone, you just feel that you're entitled to like hate them and talk bad about them and just bash their decision, when everybody's entitled to their own opinion. You know what I mean?
It was the world premiere of Pixar's new movie Lightyear in Hollywood last night. It is a spin-off of the famous series Toy Story, starring the big-chinned space hero Buzz Lightyear. Thanks very much for watching. I'm Ollie Barrett. I'll be back tomorrow to Friday and beyond.
You are clear for hyperlaunch. Beep boop, beep boop, beep boop.
Fear, but the pitch that Pixar gave me was so good, and it made sense. I mean, he said that when Angus, our director, was a kid, he loved Star Wars. Star Wars was his whole world. And when he saw the first Toy Story movie, and when Andy got Buzz, and all his friends knew who Buzz was, and they were all so excited, he wondered, what's the movie that Andy and all his friends saw that made Buzz such a popular thing? And I said, okay, that makes sense, because the truth is, look, I have a lot of Captain America dolls out there that aren't my voice, so I could at least accept the fact that maybe the movie version of the human Buzz may have a different voice.
It is Pride Month, but I feel real proud for the rest of my life, you know, having been a part of this film in this way. And I love that Disney, Pixar really has done a remarkable thing with this sci-fi adventure film, opening doors and spaces for so many voices and faces and stories that we've never seen before.
This is right, Arab.